Hello, San Diego Comic Fest. This is Graham Humphreys speaking, and I'm here to talk about Hammer horror. Probably what brought me to Hammer was, amongst other things, this poster. Um, I remember buying this from the local shop in the West Country, which is where we used to live, and I didn't really know who Dracula was, and through the wonders of Aurora. I quickly learnt about Dracula, Frankenstein, and then all the other Universal monsters. We probably hadn't seen the films in the UK for many years at that point. They weren't being rerun in the same way they were in the States at that time. But about the same time the Universal films started playing late night here on TV, the Hammer films started to pop up as well. And I remember watching, I think it might have been Plague of the Zombies, perhaps one of the first ones I saw. But I do remember as a child going to the local cinema, the local flea pit in a little town called Trowbridge, and Scars of Dracula had just opened. And I remember just looking at the lobby cards and thinking, oh my God, what monstrosity is it? I mean, I was actually quite terrified just looking at the images. I mean, they were very bloody. And, you know, I did recognise Patrick Troughton, who'd been playing Doctor Who as well. I thought, you know, what's Doctor Who doing here, and why is he being whipped with a big red hot poker? But yeah, I was quite fascinated by it. And then another little item here I have. This suddenly appeared in record stores, and I remember wanting to buy it, and my parents sort of taking me home and giving me a little bit of a talk to, saying, "We're a bit worried about your son." But I mean, just looking at that cover, I just thought, wow, this is fantastic. And then slowly began watching the Hammers as they appeared on TV. And, you know, I've been an avid fan ever since. I still watch them now, and I think they still resonate for me. I think some of the ideas in there, it's almost like a little potted history of sort of Britain, I guess, the last sort of 120 years in many ways. What made them quite special here in the UK at the time when they first came out was just this incredible lurid colour. I mean, just I know that opening sequence to Dracula, Christopher Lee's Dracula, you know, was considered deeply shocking. Just this huge sort of splodge of red blood pouring down over the name. Well, one of the pieces that I'm most happy with is probably the piece I created for a festival called Hammer at the Vault, and there's all an experimentation with colour as well. They're just trying to capture those really bright, fluorescent, lurid colours, which made those films so special. The visual style, I think, and certainly the colour palettes. I mean, the colour palettes are very experimental in some of those films, and I think just the attention to the intensity of colour was something which I kept, and I've tried to emulate ever since. I mean, I think the use of coloured filters always quite surprised me, and I think probably one of the best films for that is Dracula's Risen from the Grave, which did some quite interesting things with some incredibly fluorescent filters and some very unusual shooting decisions. But, you know, I think visually it's just one of the most stunning of the whole cycle. It perhaps not the best necessarily, but certainly the one which I think resonates for me the most. And I, you know, every time I'm painting something, in the back of my mind somewhere there is always Dracula has risen from the grave. Well, the Lost Continent for definite, because it's one of the most oddest of the Hammers, and you know, it's just it just has everything in it which I love. It's got, you know, sort of carnivorous seaweed. It's got the Inquisition. It's got, you know, a sort of classic comedy drunk, sort of femme fatale, a big sort of one-eyed octopus creature. It's fantastic. Probably I would have to say, as mentioned before, I think Dracula's Risen from the Grave, just because of this amazing colour palette. And I think after that, probably Frankenstein and the Monster from Hell, just because of the amazing look that Cushing had for the film, and just the quite audacious ideas within it. I'll just show you this last little item here. This was an original giveaway for Dracula Prince of Darkness. They gave out at the cinemas. So literally, what year would that have been? Was it 60 something or other? But yeah, so they're sort of, you basically push them out on the card, and it's your little teeth to wear in the cinema whilst you're watching the film. They love their gimmicks.